Now guys, this lesson is going to be just an overview on materials in general. Now basically, there's four categories of materials in the world: metals, woods, plastics, and ceramics. Now we already looked at metals. So we looked at ferrous metals that have iron, that's irons and steels, and non-ferrous like gold, silver, copper, aluminium, zinc, and we looked at alloys, which is when you mix two metals together. So it's brass, bronze, solder, stainless steel, etc. Now woods are divided into two main categories. So there's deciduous, but deciduous is also known as hardwoods or broadleaves. And they are the kind of trees that you would climb. They're nice trees in the summer there, they have their leaves. And the other family there then are called softwoods. They're also known as coniferous or evergreen, and they don't have leaves, they have needles and cones. So the name coniferous means that they have cones. So they're like Christmas trees, forestry trees, or the ones that don't lose their leaves. They don't all have needles because some of them have, they're known as palm trees, Lawson, cypress. They're not all needles, but they're green all year round, and they don't have leaves. So it's only the deciduous have leaves. So the main hardwoods would be ash and oak, beech, elm, horse chestnut, walnut, maple. They would be the best known of the hardwoods, whereas the softwoods then they have names that are fir, Sitka spruce, yew, which is the tree that's planted in cemeteries, strangely enough, Lawson cypress, pine, larch. They're all the ones that are softwoods, and generally softwoods are cheaper than hardwoods. So hardwoods lose their leaves during the winter. They take longer to grow. Some of them are darker in color. Most of them are. Some of them are very dark, like walnut, which is a very dark timber altogether. And they're more expensive by far because they take longer to grow. Whereas the softwoods, they're light in color, they're cheaper, they grow faster, and they wouldn't be as strong. But because they're cheaper, they're used for roofs and stud partitions in walls and stuff like that. So the hardwoods would be used for the countertops and the presses and all that, nice timbers, and the softwoods get used for holding up the floors and the roofs and all that kind of stuff. Now, we looked at the metals, which was the first of the main groups of materials. Then we looked at woods or timbers. Now the third one is plastics. Now plastics are made from oil, strangely enough. When you make petrol or diesel, oil that comes out of the ground is black and dirty, and then when it's cleaned up into engine oil or petrol or diesel, the waste from cleaning that is made into plastics. So there's three main families. Thermoplastics. Now I'll just put up the picture here of a plastic bottle. Now thermo means heat and plastic means being able to bend something. So if you heat it, you can rebend it again. So thermoplastics can be recycled because if you heat them up, they melt and you can make something else out of them. Now the second group of plastics then is thermosets, and they can't be melted again. So they're usually much harder and heavier, and they're used for stuff like light sockets, plugs, the white plastic plugs on the walls, fuse boxes, and the handles of saucepans and stuff like that. They are all thermosets. They don't melt anymore, but they're much stronger and they can take high temperatures. And the third group there then is elastomers, which would be car tires, sponges for washing up and stuff like that, cleaning, and exercise stretching bands. So I just threw in a picture of one of them there, which is the stretching bands. So they're elastic. If you stretch them, they go back to their original length again. Now, the fourth family there of materials with the metals, woods, plastics is ceramics. Now, ceramics is a really important one, unbelievably important, really, but it's the one that we don't really talk about too often. Okay, so I'll just look at a few categories. They're pretty broad, but the first one is glass. And I mean, glass is so important to us for car windscreens and windows and doors and stuff like that. Glass is one type, which is made from sand, but it's a ceramic. Now, the second one is porcelain, and that's used for sinks and bathrooms and stuff like that, and also for bowls and mugs, pottery. So all pottery is ceramics. And finally there then concrete, which is a ceramic, which is used for obviously footpaths and concrete blocks for houses, high-rise buildings. But if we didn't have high-rise buildings, the world would be a very different place altogether. So ceramics, it doesn't really come up in the exams, but it's something that's worth knowing about just a little bit.